Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Fallen Idols by J.F. Freedman, narrated by Richard Ferrone. This book is copyrighted 2003 by Chesapeake Films, Incorporated. This recording is copyrighted 2003 by Recorded Books. The author opens with the following quote from William Shakespeare's Richard II. "You may my glories and my state depose, but not my griefs, still am I king of those." And now, Fallen Idols.
Part 1. Central America. Jungle. Sitting up in the darkness, Walt Gaines, his naked body sheeny with sweat, pushed aside the mosquito netting that canopied his cot and pulled on a pair of shorts, a t-shirt, and his mud-encrusted tevas. For a man pushing 60, Walt, who had played varsity football and lacrosse at Middlebury back in his undergraduate days, looked tough and hardy, and he was. At 6'1", 200 pounds, he still had most of his hair. It was still mostly light brown rather than gray, and his face, despite the lines etched across it from years of toiling in the sun, was surprisingly youthful. People who didn't know his age, upon meeting him for the first time, often took him to be 5 or 6 years younger. In the cot next to his, Jocelyn, his wife, stirred but didn't awaken. As she breathed steadily and slowly, her thin nostrils fluted out the faintest nasal snore, a delicate, almost musical rasp, like the buzzing of a far-off bumblebee. A woman whose mind and spirit were perpetually in harmony, unlike her husband, who was ever restless, a man who by comparison would make Odysseus look like a layabout, Jocelyn could sleep through storms, hurricanes, even, her husband firmly believed, the wrath of God. 30 years of togetherness behind them, and Walt was still amazed by his life-mate's equanimity. It was a wonderful counterbalance to his own headstrong energy. One of the many reasons they had been a good team. Marriages don't last as long as theirs had without the important gears meshing. As Walt watched her, he thought back on their 30 years of togetherness. 30 years. Jesus. 30 years ago, the Beatles had barely broken up. 30 years was forever, and at the same time it was yesterday, which in some ways it was.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?